guys. We got a little bit of a interesting one here. This is Colin Stevens back on the horn, and I've just got something on my mind that's been staying with me. So I just want to talk about it for a little while. We've got college basketball is just about on top of us now with the NBA season just starting, and college basketball is going through some crazy turmoil for these past couple of months, couple of years. With this new stuff coming out with Brian Bowen's dad just about throwing everybody under the bus in that ESPN report. Like all these college coaches, I'm sure, are looking over their shoulder. Almost all of them, certainly the ones that have played the game a little bit, are looking over their shoulder and being like, oh no, like who's next? Who's going to get ratted out next? Who's going to get, and then what kind of trouble these guys are going to get on. So like, college basketball is not without its drama right now. Plus, there are some fantastic players that are going to be playing this year, so it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. But there's been so much like drama and turmoil and like craziness and the word corruption thrown around, like that. So much is happening right now, and it made me start like thinking to myself, what got us to this point in college basketball? Like, why are we here now? Like, how did we get here? And in thinking about that, it also made me think of all the college programs that we're connected to and the coaches that we know. And like, I love college basketball, but we came across something recently of where one program has a walk-on who was a junior last year, and they awarded him a scholarship. And then going into his senior year, they took it away. So he was like a walk-on for 2 years, I believe, and they awarded him a scholarship, and he started some games for them, and then his senior year they took it away. And it made me go bananas, man. Like, what kind of coach would take away a scholarship from somebody who he didn't have it before? They awarded it to him and then took it back the next year. Like, and I was a walk-on who was awarded a scholarship, so maybe this is touching a little bit of a sensitive subject here. Like, I certainly root for walk-ons, but look, I don't care who it is. I get it. Like, you've got to bring in, as college coaches, you've got to bring in great players. And year in and year out, you're trying to win ball games, you're trying to win more than you won last year, and I get it. Like, you got to win games, you got to have great players, but I think you can do it in a way that's not like, hey, man, we're really, really excited to give you a scholarship. You've earned it. Thanks for putting in your time. And then 4 or 5 months later, turn around and take it away from them. Because, and the reason that it strikes a chord with me is not because, like, they're just taking a scholarship away. Because right now, like, I know there's so many transfers in college basketball. Sometimes players are unhappy. Sometimes coaches are the ones that are unhappy. And so players are shifting around now more than they ever have. But when it comes to taking away somebody's scholarship that you gave to them after they become a walk-on, what it tells me is that as a leader, you don't understand what you're communicating to that player. And not just that player, but to all of the players on the team. Because look, all the players on the team know what happened. And not just all the players, the coaches on the coaching staff know what happened. And so, as a leader of an organization, what you're doing is you're communicating that, look, you just got to win however you can. Like, it doesn't matter how you treat people along the way. You just gotta win. You gotta make the best team possible, and you gotta win. Now, I don't know the full story, but I do know that this has happened. He was a walk-on, didn't have a scholarship, got a scholarship given to him, and then it was taken away from him from his senior year. Like, coaches don't understand sometimes the impact that they have on everybody around them. Because if you want to just make a bunch of money and you love basketball, well, get into professional coaching, because then it's all about business. The hard part about being in college coaching is that you're also dealing with young men, 18 to 22 years old, who are trying to find their way and figure things out for themselves. And so you have this moral, in my mind, you have this moral obligation to also show these young men, like, how to grow up and be a man that goes about life the right way, that treats people right, that treats everybody with respect, and doesn't put people in this caste system based upon what you can do for them. And so, man, I just think, like, if you want to make a ton of money, just go into business. Go into the business, private sector, get into real estate, do something where you can just be focused on you and make a lot of money. Nothing wrong with that. But when you're in college basketball or college football or college athletics, you gotta have something in you that says, man, like, this isn't the right way to do things. And go ahead.
So for how many of those coaches do you think kind of come into it with the intention of doing it, the right way, and kind of like that, that maybe they came into the profession, and if you told them this exact same story, they'd be like, I would never even consider doing something like that.
Right.
And then the system kind of turns them into this.
Well, I think you have coaches, just like in any other arena, any other business. You have people that have that stand in their convictions, and then you have people that are driven by ambition and achievement and don't really care how they get there. And so I think it depends on the coach and the person that he is on the inside before he actually gets thrown into the game of college coaching. Because I don't know any college coaches that are like, hey, I just want to be a low-level assistant and just that's my highest goal. Like, everybody tries to get in to work their way up and become as impactful and as well known and as winning as possible. Like, that's kind of the game of college coaching. So when it's like, what does the system do to these guys? I think the system is neutral. The system is neutral. I think the guys come in with either a ton of ambition, they don't care how they get it done, they just want to get it done, or they come in with some conviction and they draw lines for themselves and say, I'm not passing this line. Like, and I know coaches who are very close to me who have jumped out of the game, or they've left programs because they were asked to do things that went against their convictions. And to me, like, kudos for knowing who you are as a person and what means something to you, because now you can stand firm in who you are and you can rest every night knowing that you did your best. You did your best based upon what you have. But I think the game itself is neutral. Like, everybody goes into the game with the same set of parameters. Some guys will compromise everything to get to the top. Some guys will compromise a little. I think the ones that compromise a little are actually the ones that have the hardest time sleeping. They hear their conviction, but they still go against it a little bit because they think they got to play the game. But then you've got the ones that are fully ambitious, know that they could get in all sorts of trouble, or like they know they're compromising something, but they're just driven by their ambition, so they don't really care. They sleep okay at night. They're thinking about what they're going to get on the other side of this. However many wins, that next raise, the bigger gig, whatever. And then you've got the guys that are on the other side of it that they get in and they're like, wait a minute, there's part of this that is going to ask me to compromise my convictions, and I just don't think they do it. And I still think those guys become successful. I just think you have an array of coaches that are internally driven in different ways, and there are some awesome coaches there that are head coaches that lead their programs in a massive way. And so the thing that gives me hope is that those coaches as well have coaching trees, and they have coaches that are under them that are learning ways to lead with humility and lead a program that teaches young men that they can be great young men. Because this is the thing, you've got these 18 to 22, 23-year-olds, so many of them come with brokenness, or they come from, families that aren't together, or some of them come from homes that don't have a father, and then they see the father figure as the head coach who maybe doesn't show up very much, or is not interested or involved in their life anything beyond what that player can do for the head coach. And so what that does is it creates this cycle of these young men now thinking as they get older, the only thing that matters for you is like when you have somebody else that's underneath you, what can they do for you? What can they do for you? And if they can't do anything for you, then they're disposable. And I just think that's a jacked up way of leadership. And so if I'm an AD, like, yeah, my guys have got to win. Look, these Power 5 programs are under a ton of pressure to win. But there's got to be enough great people out there that know the game, that can lead an organization with integrity and still teach the game and win games. And it's not like you have to recruit just like just the best players that are so incredibly honest, and they don't do anything wrong. Like, that's not it. You recruit men that are ready to be coached, regardless of what their background is, and then you teach them. You teach them basketball, and you teach them how to be a man. Like, that's what it comes down to.
What would be the advice you would offer, I think, to people that would look to make that change? I mean, obviously you can, integrity and faith are so like tied together, in a sense.
Yeah.
I think that's certainly from the athletic directors, you want to look for the type of coaches, like you said, that are guys that are high character and they're going to stick to what they're going to stick to.
Yeah.
If you want to create a program like that, but I'm thinking more in the long lines of like, the advice to guys that really do, like, that are hearing this and they want to make a change.
Yeah.
And they want to be the guy that leads that kind of change.
Right.
What would that kind of advice be?
So I think if for coaches that are being placed in leadership positions, like, you have to realize that it's not about you. Like, we've talked about this before. Like, leadership, it means to serve. Like, you're as a leader, you're all about the betterment of the people that you are serving. Not like, what can I get out of this? What can I get out of this? Like, you have to be about the betterment of your group, the group that you're leading. And so, in actuality, like, great leaders they're not just thinking about themselves and how much they're going to get paid in that next gig. Like, you got to shift your focus to, how can I help these young men grow as men and become better basketball players? Because that saying that if you help enough people, I think Zig Ziglar said it, if you help enough people get what they want, then you'll get what you want. But all that is a change of perspective. So if we can then change our perspective on helping these young men become the best that they can be on the court and off the court, then I bet they'll run through a wall for you as a coach as well. And as they develop and they grow, and you guys do well as a program, you're not just teaching those players that it's not just about you, right? You're teaching those players that it's also not just about them. And so that perspective bleeds down, and those players then are also going to talk about that coach in 20 to 40 years and say, look, I had this awesome coach who showed me that life is not just about myself. And those players then tell that to their sons, and they tell that to the players that they coach later on. Like, it goes down and down. Like, so the legacy that you leave as a coach, it doesn't have to do with your wins and losses. It has to do with the lives that you impact and that ripple effect from generation to generation. That's all I got. We out.